President Donald J. Trump has reacted to strong criticism by RINO Republicans, including George Conway, the husband of Kellyanne Conway, that vile loser who the president calls Moonface, with regard to the coronavirus response. Now, certainly, this type of criticism coming from Conway, who's extremely negative, wants to defeat the president, part of the Republican establishment, is unwarranted. Although the president, I must add, could be doing a better job. We have confused messages coming out of the White House. He's not been strong enough with China. Secretary of State Pompeo did issue a strong statement yesterday, which China condemned. But that's about everything that's coming out of this administration right now are statements, not action. Now, the real action that's coming is from Freedom Watch and Larry Klayman and our putative plaintiffs, which now number over 2,000 in our class action lawsuit in Dallas, Texas, in our class action lawsuit in Jerusalem, Israel. We are gathering expert testimony showing that what escaped from that Wuhan laboratory was a bioweapon, and therefore there's no immunity for the communist Chinese from legal suit. The president, rather than just talking, should be freezing Chinese assets in this country so we'll be able to collect when we get a jury verdict. We'll do that anyway, but it would be a lot easier if he simply froze the assets as was done with Iran a number of years ago. Of course, we know that Obama released that back to Iran with that Iranian deal, so to speak, over nuclear arms, which has resulted in more terrorism. But the president's criticism of the RINO Republicans in one respect is unjustified. Here's what he said in a tweet just this morning. You see, these loser types don't care about 252 new federal judges, 2 great Supreme Court justices, etc., that I put in place since I've been president. Well, you know what? He's done a lot of good things, the president, and I support him personally, but federal judges are not one of them. I've gone in front of a number of Trump federal judges, Judge McFadden, Judge Kelly, Judge Friedrich in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, Judge Altman in the Southern District of Florida. I've got to tell you, these judges are nothing to write home about, and that's the nicest way you could put it. They are RINO Republicans. They are afraid of their shadow. They don't like anybody who's a strong conservative who stands for anything in their courtroom, whether it's Laura Loomer or Jerome Corsi or others, I might add, or frankly me, Larry Klayman. They are a disgrace to the federal judiciary. They're a little better than the Obama and Clinton judges. They run from difficult issues. They dismiss cases because they don't consider it to be plausible. That's not their province. These cases are to go to a jury. But if they're going to rise, they know that they have to kiss the derriere of the Democrats as well, or their nomination to a higher court or a higher calling can be blocked, notwithstanding other things that may be influencing them. It was Mark Twain that said, very wise Mark Twain, his dad was actually a magistrate, a judge. He said, a good lawyer knows the law, but a clever lawyer takes the judge to lunch. And that tells it all, because these judges are influenced by exterior factors. They don't rule generally in the federal bench on the basis of the law. They rule according to their predilections or the special interests or politicians that got them their jobs. And this is something which has concerned me and which I'm writing about weekly, about the corruption on the federal judiciary, because they are our protectors. They're the ones that are protect us from the tyranny of the other 2 branches of government. Thomas Jefferson warned us about federal judges that since they're unelected, they would eventually become despots, more powerful than the other 2 branches of government. I'm not even talking about whether or not they follow the Constitution. It's doing things which are unethical and dishonest, even short of that, in lawsuits that are put before them. And this is the problem that we currently have with our republic, which is no longer a republic. Congress has broken away from the American people. It's a clown show. We know that. All they do is go on Hannity or the other cable news networks to raise money for their reelection. That's mostly of what they do. And on the executive branch, that's become a tyrannical rat's nest with excessive use of prosecutorial power and other types of tyranny, which is putting the American people down. Now, here's what the president needs to do. He needs to tell his attorney general to support our class actions against China, to take real action, to support our criminal case in The Hague, to no longer appoint federal judges by the Republican establishment and put their names on his desk, and then he rubber stamps them. He needs to know who he's appointing. Ironically, it's the people like George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's husband, nominal husband, who he's criticizing as being losers, who in fact have gotten their judges on the bench because he gets these names, rubber stamp, bam, they're on the bench. President should not be bragging about his federal judges. Frankly, from what I've seen, most of them are terrible, and most of them don't represent the interests of the American people. It's time for the president in this coronavirus to represent the interests of the American people fully and completely by helping me at Freedom Watch hold the Chinese accountable. Now, I don't need him to do that. And hopefully we got a good judge in Dallas, Texas. And we got 3 judges in Jerusalem, Israel. And we're going to have many cases around the world. There are a few good ones out there. I've met a couple, at least, in my 43-year history of being a lawyer. But we need federal government honesty, integrity, and strength here. The Chinese have destroyed our economy. They've destroyed our health. They've destroyed the economy and health of the world. It's clearly a bioweapon that came out of a lab, and the president's afraid to say anything. He's afraid of his shadow. Is it because the Trump organization has millions of dollars of loans that are coming due to the Bank of China, which they borrowed? Or is it because he's afraid that they have something on him? Or is it because we're now so dependent on medicines from China and other supplies that he can't do anything? But he needs to rise up and forget about the tweeting and take action. George Conway's a loser. He's a fat loser, moonface, as he calls him. You don't need to worry about that. You need to worry about these communist Chinese who have destroyed this country and the world, not the Chinese people who are good people. As I've said, 30% have signed up for our class action of the people that signed up, of Chinese Americans and Asian Americans. But we need to take action. We're in a crisis. This country is going down, not just by the Chinese, but all the money we're doling out, which actually, frankly, nobody's even received it yet, which is another problem. But that's my message for today. Support Freedom Watch's class actions against the communist Chinese and our criminal cases in The Hague, Holland. We need tax-deductible contributions. We need to get bigger. We need more lawyers. We need more paralegals. We need more investigators. And we need your help. And if you help us, you'll be helping yourselves, because we have no government that is really going to bat for us against the communist Chinese. So that's my message. Share this podcast. You can find it at freedomwatchusa.org, on Spotify, on iTunes, on Roku, on Facebook, on Twitter. Share it wide and large and sign up for our class action and support our criminal case. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. We need your tax-deductible contributions. We're small. We're not big. We need to get bigger. So consequently, help yourselves. God helps those that help themselves. God bless you. God bless your family. God save your family and stay safe. Same for my family and me and for the people of the world, because we are now in a war against the communist Chinese, and we need to win that war, and we need to do it ourselves. God bless you. I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Special Prosecutor with Larry Klayman, the podcast, and listen to my radio show this weekend, which you can find at freedomwatchusa.org, Spotify, iTunes, Roku, Amazon Fire, Facebook, Twitter, all over. Share it far and wide, because in Radio America, you get the truth. Thank you for listening to me. I'll be back tomorrow.